Okay, I am on Windy Daze now, and this is the railing I was talking about that I did the cover for, and it needs to be completely sanded and refinished. In the meantime, this is what I wanted to cover it up so that it wouldn't get any worse than it is. So that's what I got the cover for, and then when it's properly finished, it'll protect it. So let's see how the cover fits on there. Okay, the cover is on there. Works perfectly. Velcro right there. So now that railing is covered, it's protected, and now I can start to work on it, and while I'm working on it, it can stay protected. And I'm going to do the same thing with that railing right there, get that one covered as well. This is the latest project I'm working on. It's a rail cover for my Hunter 31, and these Velcro places right here, 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 and here go into the handholds when this covers the rail. So this is the finished piece right here, and I'm about to start making a second one. And right now I've got the fabric all laid out as far as where I'm going to cut it. These are my two side pieces, and this is my top piece. The sides are 3 inches, and then the top piece is going to be 1 3/4 inches. That won't be the finished size, but that's the pattern size. So I'm about to cut that out, and when I sew it back together, it'll look like this. And the finished length is 56 1/4 long, 56 1/4 inches long, 2 inches high, and the width on the railing was 1 inch, and this is a little bit wider. This is about 1 inch and maybe 1/4, but you want to leave some space. You don't want it to be exact, so you got to leave a little bit of space. So I'm going to cut those pieces out. And if you're wondering, the material I'm using, I got it from Sailboat, and it is called Odyssey White, and it is 64 inches wide, and it looks like right here I got 9 yards of it. It looks like it's Sailboat stock number 803122, and I've cut that out already. And if you've ever cut material, the best way to do it is you kind of get it started, and then you can just leave your scissors part way open, and you just slide your scissors down rather than, constantly cut. Once you get it started, if your scissors is good, you should just be able to slide that right along. Okay, I've cut my 3 pieces. Once again, the railings on my Hunter 31 are 56 1/4 inches by 2 inches high by 1 inch wide. Now I need to make, this is my side pattern, and this is a side pattern, and this is my top. So instead of 2 inches, I actually made each side 3 inches, because in the finished, I folded this over and I folded this over. So I actually made each side 3 inches high, and then for the length, instead of 56 1/4, I made it 57 1/4. So this is 57 1/4 by 3 inches, 57 1/4 by 3 inches. Now the top piece, since it's going to curve a little bit, here's the finished piece, and it curves a little bit, and it has to go further. It's not just the length, it has to curve and come down the side. So I made this longer, and I'll actually shorten that, but I want to start off long, and this is 1 3/4 inches by the width of the fabric, which was 64 inches. So I cut this the full length of the bolt of fabric. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark where I'm going to put the bottom hem. So I'm going to bottom hem the two side pieces. That's the next thing I'm going to do. All right, with this material, you've got a good side and then you've got the coated side. And the coated side is the side that's going to be on the inside. So I made a mark here, and I used a pen. You could use something that maybe isn't permanent, but I went ahead and used a pen. It's going to get covered up for the most part anyway. And what this is simply a place where I'm going to fold the material back over and sew it. And I'm trying to show you a little bit how I'm going to do this. But that's just going to get folded over. It gives me a mark so I can see where I'm going to fold it. And then I'm going to sew it down. And in essence, I'm going to be doing this right here. This is what I'm accomplishing right here. This first edge. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so here I am sewing. I've started to sew. And I'm using that line as a marker so that I can take this and I bring it over to there and then I sew it down. And this is a Singer Professional machine. It's heavy duty. It's not super heavy duty. It's really designed more for I would probably guess dressmaking and so forth, but it is a professional machine. You could do it with a regular machine. And we actually got a binder attachment for it from Sailboat, so we have that attached, and right now it's pulled out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this seam as the first seam on my rail cover. So I've sewn this on both pieces. And there's the end of one piece, and I just continued and sewed on the original piece. So we're going to get that over there and we're going to get measured for the Velcro. Okay, I've gone ahead and seamed one side, and I've got these opposing right now, and actually this is hook Velcro and this is loop Velcro. And I had gone and actually made dimensions of where each opening was on the railing. And I applied that and made marks. Like here's one spot from there to here. And I'm going to sew that piece of Velcro right in that little gap right there. And so forth. Here, second gap, third, fourth, and so forth. And you want these opposing. You can see I've got it seam to seam. That way when it's sewn, it'll match up. And you can see over here the finished, how it looks once they're sewn on there. So that's going to be this next step I'm going to do, is I'm actually going to sew the Velcro onto each side in the 4 places where it needs to be done. So once again, you've got your 2 sides, and then you've got the top, which I haven't done anything with yet. And that's the finished one, which I've already done for, you could put it on the port or the starboard side. That's the finished product over there. I'm just using that as a guideline again for this one. Okay, I've gone ahead and put on, this is the hook right here and right there, and I've got the loop on, and I've already started to attach the centerpiece. Now the way I do that is I just center it. So I just center it, and you want to put the good side against the good side because you're going to be sewing on the inside. So that long piece, that center piece, has to be longer. So I just eyeballed it and made it longer. And what I'm doing is, I'm just with a stapler, I am stapling it, and then I'll sew it. But stapling works great. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm actually going to staple it together. I'm going to do one side and then I'll staple the second side. Okay, I've gone ahead and stapled the 3 parts together and sewn it together. The final step will be this top stitch right here. So doing this top stitch, so what I'll do is I'll pull this back and make that final stitch there. So you've got a nice finished edge right there. So that's what I'll be shooting for as that final step there, and then flip it inside out and it's ready to go on the boat. So that's what I'm about to do now, is that final stitch on top like that, which will finish this edge right there. You can see how right now that edge is just raw. It's got the inside stitch, but now I'll do a top stitch, and I'll make sure that when I'm putting it down that the fold is going downward, not upward. That way if any water were to come in, it wouldn't come in, it would keep it away. So okay, so I just finished the second rail cover, and this shows the inside of the one that I just did. And then behind it, of course, is the showing the outside. And tomorrow I'll put it on the rails of the rails on the port and the starboard side of Windy Daze and see how it works. Okay, I am on Windy Daze now, and this is the railing I was talking about that I did the cover for, and it needs to be completely sanded and refinished. In the meantime, this is what I wanted to cover it up so that it wouldn't get any worse than it is. So that's what I got the cover for, and then when it's properly finished, it'll protect it. So let's see how the cover fits on there. Okay, the cover is on there. Works perfectly. Velcro right there. So now that railing is covered, it's protected, and now I can start to work on it, and while I'm working on it, it can stay protected. And I'm going to do the same thing with that railing right there, get that one covered as well. And this is on my 131 named Windy Daze.